I didn't imagine going into this. What I wanted to do was become the biggest and the best television presenter South Africa's ever seen, and to make sure I'm brilliant, not only South African stages, African stages, and also, global stages. But on my journey to finding that ultimate global, Emmy, or the global, that thing at the end of the tunnel, I realized, wow, I can actually do more than just be a TV presenter. On your journey, you also kind of learn as you grow and get ideas and clues from people. Got into radio, got into fashion, did my lingerie collection, started an app, started my production company. Now I just released a film, Public Figure, at the Manchester Film Festival. So as you go, you kind of grow and you're like, oh my God, I can do this and I can be so, so amazing. But so I think, what I would say to young people is, first of all, I started at the age of 15 on SABC2. On a small little show called Manhattan's Fantasy Challenge. I was a couple of years old, moved on to live on SABC1, and then top billing, and so and so and so. So success is not something that's going to happen anytime soon. For the Bonang that's sitting here is a product of about 15 years of hard work. And I can say that because people have seen me, through my trials and tribulations.
Absolutely.
People have watched me grow. It's all documented in your favorite blogs and, all your favorite magazines and tabloids. So what I say is, be patient with yourself. I think we live in an era of instant gratification, where young people want fame and they want fame now. There's no value and no respect for time and hard work and thorough hard work. The fame that you get on Instagram, you get the like and the click, that's nice for now. But the good, fulfilling success that lasts for a long time, it needs grit, it's going to take tears, it's going to take failure, but it's going to need you to just finish what you start.
Super.
If you have a plan and a goal, just make sure you just faith. That's all it takes. And to everybody who has a dream, man,
Welcome to an all-new episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Luchi B. Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Looks and Wisdom with me, Luchi B. Please say the B, okay? AKA the elusive pundit. Honey, how are you feeling? I am feeling good. I'm actually excited to be here. It's been a challenging day. But what's life without challenges? And I don't like wasting your time. I know you're here for a very specific reason, so let's get to it. I have decided that self-preservation is going to be the theme for the year of 2026. And I do speak on the surprise episode that I did explaining the theme and why we're going to do it. So I'm not going to get into all of that. Self-preservation is very, very important for self-sustenance and longevity. Therefore, for the month of February, I have decided to look at self-preservation in career. The first episode that I'm going to do when we speak about longevity in career is actually a career that I admire. I feel privileged to be living in the same time space as Bonang. And Bonang is going to be who we draw our lessons for today's episode on longevity in career. So I've broken down this episode into three main talking points. The first one is the infancy of the dream, how to select the right career for you. And then the second thing I want to talk about is how to expand your career. And last but not least, how do you create a strong enough foundation for long-term sustainability? And again, we're going to be using Bonang for all of these examples because Bonang is the queen, guys. Like, I've never seen anybody in South Africa who came in guns blazing in their career and has managed to stay at the top of the food chain for 20 plus years. So let's get to point number one. Everybody knows who Bonang is. Bonang is the multi-talented, the only girl that we call the talent here in South Africa when it comes to the entertainment, the media space. She is who she is. She has been who she is from day one. So I'm not going to get into a lot of that. We are going to get into her accolades as we move through this essay. So number one, choosing the talent.
You need to start. My mom said to me, Bonang, whether you know where the money will come from, whether you know where you're going to end up, whether you know what the reasons are, why you're doing it, all you need to do is start. Because the choice to start is the first powerful decision that you will make, right?
So we all know Bonang came in the game in 2002, and I was privileged enough to find this interview that she did with another person that I admire in the entertainment industry with how they've conducted their career. And her name is Thando Tabete, and she does an excellent job in explaining the infancy of Bonang's career. Let's listen to it.
The very first time, do you remember a show called Celebrity Fast Facts?
Yes.
So everyone thinks Bonang's first show was Manhattan Fantasy Challenge, which is incorrect.
Yes.
The first time I met you, I thought I had landed a job. So my
Oh my God, you didn't tell me this.
my agent, I've never told you this. So my agent calls me, says, go to Sasani Studios.
Okay.
I get there, and there's a tall, beautiful girl, but everyone's faffing around her, right? So earpiece, script. I'm like, no, man, why is no one giving me the script? I'm supposed to be hosting this thing.
Yeah.
And I was one of the kiddies that was like part of, and you were the host. That's literally the very first time.
That is
I met
crazy.
you.
I love that show. It was
Yeah.
like, the studio was like 2 meters by 4 meters, but I thought like I had landed the job of my life.
And then after that, of
Exciting.
course, we have Manhattan Fantasy Challenge.
Yes, we do.
The very first time most of South Africa was introduced to you was live. Tell us about the process of going from a small kiddie show to like the biggest entertainment show in South Africa.
Well, you know, it was quite intentional. I had been having conversations with my casting agency, and I said to them, I right now just want to move away from the kiddie space and get into adult, programming, because you get typecasted in South Africa. If you do kiddie shows for too long and forever, that becomes what it is. So around the age of like 17, 18, had the conversation with her. I was still in university. I auditioned for live 2 or 3 times actually. I auditioned. Went back and back again to Urban Brew, and finally they teamed me up in my final audition with Andile, and then I landed the job, I think a couple of days after my 18th birthday, if I'm correct.
It was very weird researching you, right? Because I followed you. There's very
So Bonang started her career in 2002, but what we need to know before we get to that is that the career doesn't start when you enter the career. The career starts before. So Bonang started her career when she was 15 years old, around 2002. But before that, she had to make a decision and she had to pick a career, which is what she did. And this is what she said she used to pick the career that she wanted to do.
I remember sitting watching Jam Ali, watching Vinolia Mashifo, and I was saying to myself, I could actually do that, I could like be on television and like really, really be good.
Bonang's life has always revolved around the fact that she had a talent, and her talent was speaking. She knew she was a blabbermouth. She wanted to blab and talk and do all of these things. And she identified a career that already works with her natural talents, which was presenting. And then a step further to you identifying your career is to prepare for that career. And Bonang did this meticulously by, number one, enacting who she wanted to be from a very young age. She would get up in front of the mirror every day and practice. You get what I'm saying?
Auditioned 7 times for life. If we do not sit and think about it and live it and experience it and want it from the core of your soul, it will not happen to you.
And then on top of that, she decided that it was very important to add a formal education to what she was doing, which is she went to that presenter training school.
After you start, right? And this is what I did. I remember at the age of 15, I was watching television. I was like, my mom, I want to be on television. I was really inspired watching Senior Groups, watching, all the continuity presenters. I said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And she said, well, you need to start. What are you going to do? I said, okay, I want to be a TV presenter. So what's the roadmap to becoming a TV presenter? She said, all right, well, go out there and find a TV presenting course, which I did. I found a young company in Randburg called ONQ Communications, and that is where my journey began. And now looking back at it at the age of 38, I'm like, wow, at 15, I really did create intentions. I was very intentional, the fact that I'm going to start, and then I want to be on television, and then this is what I was going to do, only at the age of 15.
Before she even touched the mic in a studio, she was already preparing for who she was supposed to be. Bonang, the talent, Matheba. So, pick a talent. It's very helpful for you to pick something that is already natural to you. And number two, you need to get formal training in what it is that you want to do before any opportunity finds you. So Bonang did that meticulously before the age of 15 years old, so that by the time she was 15 years old, she was already prepared for what she was getting herself into. Another thing that is very important to you picking a career and then training to being in that career is something that I've learned from Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey said that you need to identify people who have already been in your path.
So when I started, I also had people that I looked up to. You know, more than bashing them or trying to tear them down, I drew inspiration from them. You know, the likes of Basita and Nonke was still like the girl, and I looked up to her. You know, there were a lot of people, Zandine Tlapo, Clema Wisa, women that I still look up to right now. So I did the opposite. I went to them and I asked them for tips, and I asked them to mentor me, and I asked them to guide me. I didn't it crossed my mind for me to try to tear another woman down. It's not what I do. It's not how it's supposed to be done.
You need to pick someone that's at the top of the food chain, that does their job very, very well and is successful. More important than finding people in the streets, though, is finding people in and around you and your circle that you look up to, that are going to be your guide and your pillars as you move through your corporate career. And fortunately for Bonang, she had a very strong support structure within her household. Her mom was a corporate career chick. She was very successful in what she was doing. So Bonang had already watched someone in close proximity building a dream. And Bonang's mother continues to be the anchor in her life.
I was like the belle of the ball in my family for a very long time. And that's how it was. That's all I know. A lot of love, a lot of hard work. I grew up around a lot of very strong women. So yeah, that's what I know. Your mom being one of the strong women, right? She started Bahakwana, worked at Telkom, has a beautiful position now at Seso. What does having a woman that powerful, that resilient as your mother do or mean for a young Bonang?
I think any person will tell you, if the role models are within your family, it makes the job just a little bit easier, because you don't have to go to the world to find and identify or you know, kind of spot success or excellence. It's right next to you. Therefore, it becomes sort of bred, you know, and you watch people, and I watched my mom become who she is, and that's all I know, hard work. So it's molded me. It's made me who I am. There are a lot of doctors and scientists and, you know, leaders of fields and industries in my family, and that's what I know. So I know the impact that it has when you have those direct influences in your life. And also my mom has helped me because she's an academic. She is a corporate woman. I'm entertainment industry. I'm the other side. I'm very streetwise, so I'm the opposite of my mom. So it's a good balance.
Having all of these tools and all of these resources and all of this self-assurance and knowing that you want to be this person, what does that lead to? It leads to the breakthrough where preparation meets opportunity. And that only happens when you've been on the grind, have been training. And this happened to Bonang 5 years later. Akiri, she started, look at me saying Akiri like I'm Zwana. So Akiri, she started her career in 2002, getting in, but she was preparing way, way before she actually had a knock on her door. And then after that, she had to stay on the grind, working, honing her art, crafting who she is, until a big break came in 2007 via Live Amp. And this is what Bonang had to say about that process.
The very first time most of South Africa was introduced to you was live. Tell us about the process of going from a small kiddie show to like the biggest entertainment show in South Africa.
Well, you know, it was quite intentional. I had been having conversations with my casting agency, and I said to them, I right now just want to move away from the kiddie space and get into adult, programming, because you get typecasted in South Africa. If you do kiddie shows for too long and forever, that becomes what it is. So around the age of like 17, 18, had the conversation with her. I was still in university. I auditioned for Live 2 or 3 times actually. I auditioned. Went back and back again to Urban Brew, and finally they teamed me up in my final audition with Andile, and then I landed the job, I think a couple of days after my 18th birthday, if I'm correct.
And what I like about Bonang is the fact that she didn't get in the industry on her back. Not that there's anything wrong with people getting to any industry on their backs, but she speaks about something very important. Going through auditioning, going through different interviews to allow yourself to be in a position where you can get that opportunity, going to interviews, asking people that you know that can get you in. So her break came in 2007 via Live Amp, and what we saw was someone who was prepared. Bonang never fumbled when she got to Live, because for the 5 years that she got into the industry, she was working on that day where she will get to a bigger platform where she's able to showcase who she is. And God, did we get a show. She gave us a show from who she was, what she was saying, how she was presenting, the looks, the confidence, the ambience, the aura, everything about Bonang being on Live Amp was an accumulation of someone who has worked meticulously for 5 years to get to that point. And when she got to that point, she literally excelled. Excellence was always Bonang's brand. I found this quote on her Wikipedia where it says that even before she got in, she knew she wanted to be great and she wanted to be part of greatness. So when we got to Live, we got to witness that manifestation. And her being excellent and her being hardworking is part of the Bonang brand. She tells us that over and over again.
Yeah. Also, I think hard work.
Yeah.
Everything that Bonang bases her career on, everything that I have done is all just a product of just hard work and determination, and just being able to evolve every now and then. Moving from Live and moving to top billing and changing your audience and giving people a new side of you and what you can offer.
Bonang is in full force, and what happens? She says herself that she was a child when she got in and she didn't understand all the nuances around being a brand. When you think of Bonang and when you think of her first commercialization as a brand, you think about legit and that legit endorsement or partnership that she did. And I was so surprised to learn that the Queen is so honest, telling us that she wasn't looking into the commercialization of Bonang when that deal happened. It was someone that was in and around her, that knew the industry and knew where it was going, that helped. Again, having the right people around you is very important. So when that legit deal happened, just by mere chance, it opened up Bonang's brain into knowing that she doesn't have to be girl on the mic talking. She can actually expand herself into the commercialization of Bonang. Legit, Revlon ambassador, Distraction by Bonang with Woolworths, KFC, top billing, Afternoon Express. She also expanded her brand as a personality within media into radio because she was given that opportunity to be on YFM over the weekends. Bonang was doing the damn thing. She was everywhere, doing everything with everybody. She built her brand around this time. The more brands came knocking, the harder she worked.
I will never say no to work, and every single job for me is important. Every single check for me is important because I work in a very fickle industry. Yes. My fame and my rise can end at any minute. I need to do and make as much money as I can, commercialize, leave a legacy, teach as much as I can, build financially for myself, my future children.
And she was working everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And when all of those things were happening, she had to make a very, very important decision for herself. And this leads us to the second installment, which is expanding the brand. So now Bonang is in, she is winning in all the facets of what it is to be an entertainer, a very successful one in South Africa. She is wanted by everyone everywhere, and she had to make her very first important decision of her life. And I like talking about this because severing ties with things that you'll never do is very important for you to get into the groove of who you are supposed to be. So the first decision Bonang had to make was whether or not she was going to continue being a student. I think she was doing a communication degree in UJ, and her parents, her mom, who is also her mentor, as aforementioned, wanted Bonang to be a corporate girly. She wanted Bonang to be in the corporate streets because she was a corporate woman herself. And Bonang said, "No, mother, I have to go and try myself out," as Bonang Matheba. This is what she has to say about that story.
So
How did she find that? Like, what was her reaction to that? Because I imagine, as an academic herself, she was like, hopefully Bonang will grow up to be...
Oh, she absolutely hates it. She hates that I had to leave the University of Johannesburg. She hates that I didn't complete my junior degree. She hates it. So a lot of why I push so hard is just to prove myself right and to make sure that she is not disappointed, because a lot of the time she wanted me to be in corporate South Africa. She wanted me to be successful. She wanted me to get my junior master's degree, postgraduate. She wanted me to be all of that. But then my life took a completely different turn, you know, because I'm a creative and I use my voice and my face and my talent and the things that I've been given to make money. And it took a lot of convincing. First 3 jobs up until I think when I got top billing, she's like, "All right, okay."
She's like, "Okay, something's happening here."
It seems like it looks like you know what you're doing.
I mean, I like talking about this all the time because you have to make decisions that are very important to yourself. Whether you are disappointing your partner, whether you are disappointing your parents, whether you are disappointing your children, at any given point in your life, as someone who wants to self-sustain, you're going to have to make decisions that disappoint the people around you. But as you make those decisions that disappoint people around you, you have to hone in on what you want. When Bonang actively decided to forgo getting an undergraduate degree in UJ and going the corporate route, she knew her parents still have their eyes on her. She has to succeed in what she has chosen to do for herself. That's the decision that Bonang had to make, and making that decision allowed her to then leap into the next phase of what she wanted to do with her career. And that expansion for Bonang was to join national radio.
You know the difference between Metro and Y? Obviously, it's very simple. Regional versus
National. Yeah.
Metro FM is a beast. 6.7 million listeners.
Yeah. And you speak to so many people at a time from all over the country. Like it's a great brand and everything. I mean, like when you hear, everything just works. You know?
And also it's a different style of delivery as well.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I started at YFM because I feel like at YFM you get given the chance and opportunity to polish
your skills,
to tweak,
yeah,
to make sure things are correct, to make sure things are right. You know what I mean?
And by the time you get to this platform, it's actually cool. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what you know all about radio. Actually, you have you don't know everything, but you know you have a basic understanding and you're prepared.
And for me, it was a shock when you're on radio and on YFM you expect somebody from Kempton Park
to call
always Soweto. Now I have somebody in Limpopo, Nelspruit, Cape Town, like Kimberley calling you. I have people from Dublin who listen to the show, so
that's crazy.
It's crazy. It's a beast. It's a monster. Like Ismail Ibrahim calls it, the mighty Metro.
Joining Metro FM, a national radio station which is big, prominent, and had some of the greatest entertainers we have witnessed. DJ Fresh was there. Mel Bala was there, Unatinganye was there. I mean, everybody that you can think of in entertainment was there. Tibo Touch is still there, killing it. So when I moved to radio, she had her own show, which was a breakfast show, and it was a prime slot that she was in. And she worked for 3 years in that environment. And while she was there, a lot of other things were happening. She was the ambassador for this, ambassador for that, doing all of these grander things, which I don't want to get into at this point, because I really want to focus on the radio career and how to move when you are expanding. So you get into the dream expansion that you are wanting for yourself. And for Bonang, that was radio. And she worked meticulously for 3 years in this radio station, building her brand. But You getting into your dream job and doing what you need to do and excelling in that, it doesn't mean that the evolution stops. No, as a person who is still alive, your evolution and what you need to do in life doesn't stop until you die. And this is what Bonang had to learn in 2017. Now, 2017 was a very, very tumultuous year for Bonang. She was through the ringer. Let's get into the ringer that is the Metro FMs. Everywhere you are, there's always going to be corporate giants and machines. And these are the caretakers of whatever industry you're in. Some are gatekeepers and some are gate openers. And this is what Bonang had to learn in that debacle with Metro FM. Bonang is a brand and she's been in the industry formally now for more than 10 years. She knows what she's doing. She knows what she wants. And she has had so many opportunities to collaborate with brands. And one of the most important things that Bonang says around this time is that she had learned to say no to opportunities that don't align with her brand, that don't align with who Bonang is. Like, she had gotten so comfortable in her career that she was doing things that she liked. I mean, hello, don't we all want to be there where you're like, no, I'm not accepting that opportunity. I just don't like it. So she was there in terms of brand Bonang. And here comes the Metro FM bosses, corporate giants and machines, and they are wanting to dilute that brand by introducing another person. And this person is Lerato Kganyagwe. And this was a big hoopla because Bonang resigned on Twitter. So basically, she was where she wanted to be. She knew who she was. And someone was coming from the top to tell her who she is. And she said no. I want to emphasize two things that she didn't want. Number one, she said she didn't appreciate how everything was done. How are you guys going to call me on the weekend to discuss serious work? And then you guys call me abruptly on the Monday and wanting me to come early. And then you guys are telling me about all these changes that have to be effected in like an hour, and I have to work with this individual who I don't have a problem with, but I have a problem with the fact that this affects my overall brand standing. And she spoke again to that anchor that she has, which is her mother, her family. Bonang's very sure about who she is and where she gets her advice. Her mom is the first person she speaks to. She said she spoke with her mother. And then secondly, she spoke with her business manager. And then she went to work and did her job. And while she was doing her job, she realized that this doesn't feel good. I don't want to be here. So what do I need to do? She decided to cold turkey resign. And she was in a position to resign. Let's not get that wrong. She had money in the bank. At that time, she was established. She was working with a lot of brands. So money-wise, she was very comfortable and stable. But who she wanted to be for her long-term sustainability in the industry was being threatened by the corporate giants and machines. And for that, she had to say no. More than once, you're going to have to say no to opportunities. And more than once, you're going to have to tilt the pedestal yourself because you know there's something greater for you on the other side. And that's what Bonang did. She forgo that opportunity at Metro. And this was very, very important for who she was going to be next, which was about that sustainability and most importantly, autonomy over who you are. Another thing that Bonang spoke about with regards to any industry that you're in that we always think is never going to happen to us, that replacement element. I've been in meetings where I was saying no to management about things, including money, promotions, appraisals, and I was threatened with, we can find someone else in the street to come and do the job that you do. Even myself, I had to be like, well, go find that person in the street. And fortunately for me, they always were like, oh, why would you say we must do that? Okay, take it. For Bonang, she had to say no and leave. And I had to say no and leave oftentimes. So it depends on where you are. And another thing of the whole replacement thing, like you can be replaced by another person, that's true for everybody. And this is not the first time that corporate giants and machines tried to replace Bonang. They did the same thing back in the day with a show called Link. And I remember how excited I was for Bonang having this variety show called The Link. And again, the corporate giants and machines were telling Bonang how to Bonang. And she said no. And that opportunity was given to Lerato Kganyagwe.
She believes she's in a league of her own and that nobody else comes close to being her competition. Okay? So how about bone, bana baba bang? How
Not
about bone?
necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, competition is healthy. But I
Yes.
think the best kind of competition is, when you compete with yourself, the betterment of yourself. Because the thing is, when you compete with other people, it tends to be quite distracting. It removes you away from what you were doing to kind of complete what you were doing, what you want to flourish and what you want to accomplish.
Right.
And I think, when you compete with yourself, you better yourself, and therefore, whether other people are happy or not, it won't really matter.
And Bonang every time has always won, because if you stand in your power and if you stand in your authenticity, no one can replace you. You can just move on. And that's the art of playing the long game.
Why I chose to leave, I think I wanted to grow. I want a new challenge every 3 years in my life. I want to try find something that forces me to be a better, greater version of myself.
She never works for any company again as an employee. And what does she do instead? She is slowly but surely building Bonang Matheba, the entrepreneur, the queen of autonomy, the one who will say no when she's supposed to say yes. She opens up the House of BNG, an entrepreneurship venture she does with CSA, which was her agency at the time. I think it was her agency at the time.
Bonang Matheba launched a luxury beverage brand, the House of Bonang, which sells 2 beverages, Brut and Brut Rosé Method Cap Classiques. She's the first black woman to become a member of the Cap Classique Producers Association. Bonang is also spreading her wings, heading to New York to film a TV series, namely Bonang Coming to America, constituting yet another South African talent export among the likes of Trevor Noah and Pearl Thusi. Well, earlier we did catch up with Bonang to talk us through her entrepreneurial journey.
My reality show being Bonang. I came up with the term champagne, darling. And it sort of kind of spread around the country. People used it on social media and everywhere. And that's where the idea came from. And I thought, well, how do I, monetize from this? Because commercially, I like to make money from my brand. I always think I'm not a musician or, an actress or a sportsman or a sportswoman. So how do I keep relevant, although I'm just, a TV presenter? And I said, well, I love bubbly, and the most authentic, organic way to introduce myself into the beverage industry was to create a bubbly style-like drink. And off I went to Stellenbosch, and I found an MCC maker by the name of Jeff Greer. He's an incredible Cape wine master. He actually studied the making of champagne in Champagne, France. Collaborated with him, told him exactly how I wanted it to taste, told him I wanted a Brut and a Brut Rosé, and here we are. 2 years later, the House of B&G is born, and it's something I'm super proud of. I call it, and I've termed it, my love letter to Africa, because it's a proudly South African brand.
And she does her own production company, and that works on her production of the Bedazzled going forward. And I mean, that also came from a place of disappointment, because when Bonang was working on being Bonang, working with a different production company, she had problems with that. And she learned the importance of owning. Ninjani? She learned the importance of owning who you are.
The launch and the creation of BME was to, number one, make sure that everything I do is within my own, entertainment company, that I have a lot of power in terms of the things that I'm able to be part of and not, and even in the productions that I'm part of, that I'm always executive producer.
Another thing that she does around this time, which was started back in the day, is also working meticulously on her dream of expanding Bonang, the presenter and the host, into global territory. And this started a long time ago when she joined the CMA agency. I think it's called the CMA agency. And she knew she wanted to expand globally, but you have to keep things going.
The future is to go global, to go, all across the continent, to grow as much as you can and see how much more you can do. With the introduction of my new company, B&G, it's opened me up to so many spaces and places. And the goal is just to try and get it to as many spaces as possible. I don't know if that makes sense. But that is it. Consistency and growth, I think that's what everybody wants ultimately.
The global expansion of her brand was always something that was being worked on. She moved to New York, which is where we got that Bedazzled 6-part series where she was in New York, produced by her own production management company. Okay? You get what I'm saying? The agency is called CSA, by the way. Now, nothing comes without challenges. So the challenge of the House of BNG, I'm not going to get too deep into it myself because the Queen has spoken so much about it. Here's what she had to say.
So over the last few years, I have been in a business relationship with a management group to represent my brand. I've put my trust in them and gave them stewardship over brand Bonang to build and support it across all mediums, including entertainment, fashion, and entrepreneurship. Today, I announce that I've terminated that contract with them and they no longer represent me or any of my business ventures. Furthermore, I have instructed my lawyers to investigate the possibility of criminal conduct by the company and its representatives. I will revert over the next few days with more updates so that others can be aware of what I consider as their very unsavory behavior. Very disturbing news.
With the debacle of being Bonang, it was someone trying to take away from her. This is the article that she had given us after that failed corporate espionage by CSA. She talks about knowing who you are, knowing your value, knowing that people work for you, you don't work for them. Even if it's your agency, she speaks about the importance of reading your contract, knowing your contract. She speaks about creating boundaries between people that you work with. She speaks about paying attention to your brand, paying attention to what's being signed, people speaking on your behalf. She speaks about, again, that autonomy. She had autonomy before, but she was still managed by CSA. Now, that education that came with CSA trying to take House of BNG away from Bonang was, even with an agency, even with someone that's working for you, you have to be the one that's keeping watch 24/7.
Experience that I have appreciated because I've learned so much. I've learned now that you have to 10 times read between the lines, 10 times more. Take your time when you make decisions. Don't trust everybody that you get into business with, and make sure you have some good lawyers, because the people that are closest to you will sometimes, unfortunately, take advantage of your proximity and the fact that sometimes maybe you're busy and you overlook things and you've given them the power to make decisions on your behalf. So I would want the younger people, to not make the mistakes that I made, and just make sure that the people that you choose to work with are good people, honest people. And sometimes you think they are. Make sure you do the due diligence.
And I think this is the same lesson that Toni Braxton learned back in the day when she went bankrupt and she was sour, that Oprah was saying the same thing, that you have to keep watch. You have a management team, but you have to keep watch. What are they saying about you? What are they signing on your behalf? Guys, my names, I have a lot of names. One of them is, I am the paperwork queen. I will never sign a bad contract. And what Bonang learned from that issue with CSA around House of BNG and the ownership of that was that even with people that you trust, even with systems that you have put in place that are supposed to be for your benefit, you have to watch them. You have to audit the auditors, because if you don't, people are always going to be taking away from you. People always want to take away from people. That's why she went on that Twitter rant and said, I am the talent. I am the bacon. You guys can't come and scam me here. And another thing that I wanted to add with this BNG, it was the first time where I saw Bonang literally throw her weight into a fight. She was so serious about it because this was her legacy. They were trying to take away her legacy and something that she's worked on for the past 20 years of her life.
To look at the totality of my life, a lot of different things have happened, and it will happen in business, it will happen in entertainment, it will happen as you grow up.
Yeah.
The most important thing is what have you learned from that, and how you make what you're doing now even better. So that is where I am right now.
I don't know.
I'm glad you won that court case, and I'm glad you own House of BNG. Again, things don't come easy. Just because you expand doesn't mean the devils are going to stop. No, the devils are not going to stop. You're just going to get bigger ones. She has House of BNG PNG. She owns it. She owns the production company that does all her productions, including Bedazzled. She has signed contracts with SABC to get her shows onto SABC. And now, something that she started working on in 2017, even before that, is finally coming into fruition, which is her global expansion. Now she is literally going to be winning in the global stage. And we have seen that. Last year, she hosted Miss Cosmo. That is just the start of her global expansion. And this is something that she already spoke to us about in 2014.
It's been a long day. So again, I just want to summarize the 3 main points for a long-term career. Number 1, pick a career that's based on your talent and interest. Secondly, expand based on your evolution, and always think long-term around your own autonomy and freedom. And last but not least, always be thinking ahead. What's the next step?
Speaking of, amongst the many things that you have going on, you're also opening a talent agency.
I am, and that's the reason why. Yes, I am. So it's like a part production agency, part, I would say, talent hub. Because, you know, South Africans are great and we are fantastic, but we have not mastered talent management. And there's no governance in our entertainment industry. So anyone can wake up tomorrow and become a makeup artist and say that they've, you know, and tomorrow anyone can wake up and be a stylist and say they styled, you know, whoever they want. There is no governance. People who work in the entertainment industry aren't protected, and you know, whether it's on air or off air, nobody. So that's where it came from. But also, we have so many superstars, but why aren't they where they need to be? Because we don't know how to cultivate them, provide for them, and then move them to where they need to be. Nigeria does that very well.
Expansion, expansion, expansion. So it doesn't end basically until you drop dead. So self-preservation is very, very important in career. And I hope you guys learned a lot on how to play the game for the long run. I thank you so much, guys, for being here today. And I thank you for just being here with me. And with that said, I've got no further information to give to the masses. So please comment, subscribe, tell your friends. And last but not least, I wanted to add this clip that summates what Bonang means to us, the people who watch and observe her career. Thank you. It's one take B. We rarely have to do it twice. You need to get that on camera.